Think back to the last time you felt that rush of a new relationship. The racing heart, the sleepless nights, that feeling of being completely high on another person. It's intoxicating, right? But then, think about a couple you know who has been together for 40 years. They don't have that frantic energy. They have something else. A quiet, unbreakable gravity. We often call that true love or commitment. But what if I told you it's actually a sophisticated biological survival strategy? Today, we're peeling back the layers of the human heart to look at the brain chemistry that keeps us bonded for decades. Why do some connections evaporate while others become more resilient as the years pass? Is it just luck, or is there a hidden chemical blueprint for staying together?
It's a fascinating question because we tend to romanticize love as this ethereal, mysterious force. But when you look under the hood, human bonding is one of the most remarkable feats of biology. We aren't just social animals, we are attachment-driven creatures. Our brains actually evolved specific neural pathways designed for long-term cooperation and emotional safety. It's not just about feeling good in the moment, it's about a complex interplay of neurochemicals that signal to our nervous system that this specific person is our safe harbor. Without these systems, the human species probably wouldn't have survived the challenges of the last few 100,000 years.
That's such a shift in perspective. We usually think of biology in terms of basic survival, finding food, escaping predators. But you're saying that staying in a relationship is actually a survival mechanism? How does the brain differentiate between a temporary fling and a life partner?
It comes down to the shift from excitement chemistry to stability chemistry. In the beginning, a relationship is fueled by dopamine. It's the reward center of the brain lighting up novelty, anticipation, that chase feeling. But dopamine is a short-term fuel. It burns hot and fast. For a relationship to last, the brain has to transition into using oxytocin and vasopressin. Oxytocin is often called the cuddle hormone, but it's really the trust hormone. It lowers our social defenses and creates a sense of safety. Vasopressin, on the other hand, is more about long-term mobilization and protective bonding. When these two take the lead, the relationship moves from a roller coaster to a steady, grounding foundation.
So when people say the spark is gone, they might actually just be experiencing a healthy transition into a more stable chemical state. It's almost like the brain is trading a high-intensity fire for a slow-burning furnace that actually keeps the house warm.
That's a perfect metaphor. And the problem is that our culture teaches us to chase the fire. When the dopamine levels naturally dip and the oxytocin takes over, some people panic. They think, I don't feel that rush anymore, so I must not love them. But biologically, that calm is actually nervous system safety. It's the state where your body can finally relax because it doesn't feel the need to constantly impress or win the other person. In a truly healthy long-term bond, your partner becomes a regulator for your nervous system. Their presence literally lowers your cortisol and stabilizes your heart rate.
It's incredible to think that another person can act as a literal medicine for our stress levels. But let's look at the flip side. Why does it feel so hard to maintain that connection today? It feels like modern life is almost designed to sabotage that nervous system safety you're talking about.
You've hit on the biggest challenge we face right now. We are living in an era of fragmented attention. To build the kind of deep attachment we're discussing, the brain requires presence. It needs eye contact, physical touch, and shared rhythmic activities. But today, we are constantly overstimulated. We're physically in the same room as our partners, but mentally, we're scrolling through 1,000 different lives on social media or responding to work emails at 9 p.m. This keeps our nervous systems in a state of low-grade fight or flight. When you're stressed, your brain deprioritizes bonding because it thinks it's under threat. You can't build a bridge of trust when your brain thinks it's in a war zone.
So we're essentially trying to build deep, ancient biological bonds using a modern operating system that's constantly crashing. If we're always on, we never get to that calm state where oxytocin can do its work. Does this explain why loneliness has become such a physical epidemic? I've heard that social isolation can be as damaging to your health as smoking.
Absolutely. The brain treats social disconnection as a physical emergency. If you look at an MRI of someone experiencing intense social rejection or loneliness, the areas of the brain that light up are the same ones that process physical pain. Evolutionarily, being alone meant you were vulnerable to predators. Today, that translates into chronic inflammation, poor sleep, and a weakened immune system. Conversely, people in supportive, long-term relationships tend to heal faster from injuries and even age more slowly. Love isn't just a luxury, it's biological resilience. It's the ultimate recovery tool for the human body.
I'm curious about the role of touch in all of this. We live in a world that's becoming increasingly digital and touch-starved. How much of this chemistry is dependent on actual physical proximity?
A huge portion of it. Skin-to-skin contact, or even just a hand on a shoulder, triggers an immediate neurochemical cascade. It's the fastest way to signal to the amygdala, the brain's fear center, that it can stand down. This is why a hug after a terrible day feels like a literal weight being lifted. It's not just nice, it's a recalibration of your entire biology. In a long-term relationship, these small, repetitive physical interactions act like micro-investments in a trust account. Over decades, that account becomes so large that it can weather massive life storms like illness or financial loss.
It sounds like the secret to long-term love isn't some grand romantic gesture, but rather a series of very small, very consistent biological signals. It's the boring stuff. Showing up, listening, a quick hug before work. But what about people who struggle with this? We hear a lot about attachment styles lately. The idea that some of us are avoidant or anxious. Is that hardwired into our biology too?
It's more like software that was programmed by our early environments. If you grew up in an environment where safety was inconsistent, your nervous system learned to be hypervigilant. You might see a partner's need for space as a threat, or you might see their need for closeness as an intrusion. But the beauty of the human brain is neuroplasticity. We can rewire these responses through what we call earned secure attachment. By being with a partner who provides consistent, safe biological signals, you can actually train your nervous system to relax over time. It's a slow process, but love is actually a form of neurological therapy.
That's a very hopeful way to look at it. It means we aren't just stuck with the hand we were dealt. We can actually heal through our relationships. But looking toward the future, as we move more into AI, virtual reality, and digital interfaces, do you think we're at risk of losing the ability to bond this way? Can a screen ever replicate the chemistry of being in the same room?
I don't think it can, at least not yet. There are subtle pheromones, micro-expressions, and even the synchronization of heart rates that happen when two people are physically together. Technology is great for information, but it's often poor for co-regulation. My concern is that we're becoming a society that is highly connected but deeply unbonded. We have 1,000 friends, but no one to regulate our nervous system when the world feels heavy. That's why I think the most important skill for the next generation will be the ability to unplug and practice radical presence with another human being.
It's almost like we need to become biological Luddites in our relationships, stripping away the digital noise to get back to the raw, chemical basics of being human. If you had to summarize what actually sustains a bond over 20, 30, or 50 years, what would the biological checklist look like?
It would start with emotional safety, the absolute knowledge that your partner is not a threat. Then, it's consistency. The brain loves patterns because patterns mean safe. Third is physical affection to keep the oxytocin flowing. And finally, it's shared stress regulation. Long-term love is essentially two people saying, I will help you carry your stress and you will help me carry mine, so neither of our systems has to break. It's a partnership of the nervous system as much as it is a partnership of the heart.
This conversation has really shifted my perspective. We spend so much time looking for the right person, but maybe we should spend more time learning how to be a safe person for someone else's biology. It turns out that love isn't just something that happens to us. It's something we physically build, day by day, through the way we treat each other's peace of mind.
Exactly. It's a craft. And the more we understand the science behind it, the more we can appreciate how miraculous it is when two people manage to stay in sync for a lifetime. It's not just a fairy tale, it's a biological masterpiece.
It really is. And I think that's a perfect place to leave our listeners today, with the idea that your relationships are perhaps the most important health intervention you'll ever have. As we've seen, the chemistry of long-term love is about so much more than romance. It's about the very core of our resilience, our health, and our survival. If you're listening to this, Maybe take a moment today to put the phone down, look your partner or a loved one in the eye, and just be present. Your nervous system, and theirs, will thank you for it. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the biology of the heart. We'll be back next time to explore more of the hidden systems that make us who we are. Until then, protect your peace, prioritize your connections, and remember, we are literally wired to love. See you in the next episode.